Welcome to Let's Talk Nourishment, where we go beyond food and into the habits that truly nourish. I'm Abigail Parker, nutritional therapy practitioner, here to help you simplify wellness. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. It's an important one, and it's also a more personal one. I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes, giving you official news about my coaching program that is launching tomorrow. But I really wanted to share a little bit about why I've created that as well. This program is called Confident Eating Academy, and I named it very straightforward. So if you can guess, then the goal is that you'll walk away feeling confident in how you're eating. Now, as a nutritionist, you might think that I have had it all together on food, and I'm going to stop you right away and say that is not the case. When I first got into nutrition, I struggled a lot with my sweet tooth. And this is something that I see very common come up with my clients. And so I always love talking about it now because I've been there. I understand. When I decided that my sweet tooth was a problem, because it wasn't a problem until one day it was, I thought that I just needed to cut out sweets in order to regain control. But the problem with that is it only made me want them more. And then I felt bad. I was disappointed. I couldn't eat them. So then I would think that I could have just a little bit. And when I tried to have just 2 bites of a brownie in the break room at work, somehow I ate 2 brownies instead. And then I felt guilty about it. Luckily, I was getting so into nutrition that I decided to join my nutrition program. And I learned more about blood sugar and eating for my body. And just like one day I woke up and it was like all of a sudden my sweet tooth was a problem. Well, now my sweet tooth wasn't a problem. It was like it just disappeared, which is something so powerful for me to say because for the longest time, I thought that my sweet tooth was in my DNA. It was a part of me. I have family members that love sweets, and so that's just who I am. But I realized as I started to eat more for my needs that it was my body's way of saying that I wasn't eating to meet my needs. And then once I did, wow, it's not a problem anymore. And even then, as I got more into nutrition, I started to think about foods in different ways. And you've probably heard of foods being good for you and bad for you. In my nutrition program, they would tell us that there's no good or bad foods. And this was something I couldn't wrap my mind around. I'm like, well, of course, there's foods that are good for you and foods that are bad for you. And as I've been coaching, I haven't been using that kind of language. And instead, I've been helping women understand how to eat for your own needs. You get to decide what foods you want to eat. I'm not here to tell you that you should or shouldn't eat a food if you like to eat that food, because I know if I tell you not to eat it, if you tell yourself not to eat it, it's going to only make you want it more. But as you're starting to eat for your needs, then naturally your body starts to crave different foods. And so maybe that food that you could consider a bad for you food is something that you no longer want just naturally, as opposed to being like, well, I can't eat that. But even as I was doing this coaching and I kind of had this, understanding of, well, foods are not necessarily good or bad for you, in my own life, I knew too much as a nutritionist, and I still wanted to not eat foods that I could consider bad for me. This mindset, though, really started to change at the beginning of this year when I found out that I have an underactive thyroid. Because at this point, I knew that certain foods can impact your thyroid. And so I wanted to make sure that while my thyroid had a problem, I was not making it worse. And I started off with gluten, where I decided to eliminate gluten from my diet because I knew that gluten could be a trigger. And what happened whenever I eliminated gluten was my acne started to get better. I quit dealing with this cystic acne, and the overall acne in general that I had finally started to calm down. And I also had been getting these dark hairs on my chin, which I thought was some sort of hormonal imbalance. I learned that it also can relate to your thyroid. And when I cut out gluten, I quit getting those dark hairs on my chin too. And I started to then shift this idea of foods that are good for you and bad for you. And I started to really think more about how foods are impacting how you're feeling. Now, as I got down not eating gluten, I decided to do the same thing with dairy because dairy is another food that can be an issue for people that have thyroid problems. So I thought, hey, I've got gluten out of my diet. Let's try dairy and see what happens. Now, as a woman, you may know that if you are getting ready to start your period, you have some symptoms that happen every month. And one of those was I would always have tender breasts in the week before my period. But in the month that I cut out dairy, I didn't. And the next month, I still didn't. And it continues to happen today as it has been 3 to 4 months now since I have had any dairy that I don't have any tenderness prior to starting my period. And this is where my idea of healthy eating has shifted a lot because I've looked at healthy eating for a long time as choosing to eat more whole foods, more nutrient dense foods. But seeing these shifts in my own life, I have really come to understand how different foods can have different impacts on different people. Where one person can eat a food and they feel great versus another person can eat it and it causes them acne, right? Different examples. So I have gotten away from trying to think of foods as good or bad and healthy. And I really am emphasizing that the way you define healthy eating should be eating foods that make you feel and look your best, where you're looking at your body and you're like, I look so healthy. Have you ever thought that when you've looked in the mirror where you're like, wow, I look healthy? And feeling healthy. What does feeling healthy mean to you? Is it waking up in the morning and you have energy? Is it being able to play on the floor with your grandkids? You get to yeah, you get to decide what that definition of healthy really means to you. And so the foods that you're eating are going to impact how you're feeling. And you get to decide then what does healthy eating mean for me based on how I want to feel. And so that's where I'm really shifting my nutrition coaching now. I have been coaching one on one for nearly 3 years since I have started Nourished Revival, and I've loved it. There's something so special to me about all of my clients that have trusted me to be a support for them and to guide them. Now, back in May, I added to doing one on one clients because I decided I wanted to help more people. That is something that I think all of us coaches do is think about how we can help more people. And so I started the Nourished Collective, which is a monthly membership that I am doing in a group setting. And it's more self paced where you get what you need out of my coaching. And then you get to decide month to month if you want to continue or if you have gotten enough. So I told you I'm starting a new program, and it's called Confident Eating Academy. And Confident Eating Academy is taking the place of both of these things. I'm currently not taking one-on-one clients, and the Nourish Collective is closed for new members because it is transitioning to Confident Eating Academy. What's really special about this is it combines all of my favorite, all of the best aspects of my one-on-one coaching and the collective community. In Confident Eating Academy, I have 3 simple ways to help you make confident eating simple. 3 steps, essentially, that you're going to walk through. The first is understanding what your body needs. So each week, you get clear guidance on how to support your hormones, your energy, ultimately, your relationship with food. You'll learn my confident eating formula, which simplifies healthy eating and guides you to naturally understanding how much you need to eat. Because I know that is something you're wondering is what foods should I be eating and how much do I need to eat? And you'll get in tune with your body in order to answer both of those questions. The second thing is you'll feel fully supported. So you will join live coaching calls every week throughout this 6-week program where we'll be talking through your real life questions, challenges, and all the wins that you're having too. So you'll never feel like you are alone because you're not anymore when you join the academy. And the third is you're going to build confidence, which is really my favorite because of the fact that this is what is going to be where you're continuing moving forward. From meal planning guides to check-ins and stress resets, you're going to have simple resources that help you apply what you're learning in real life to fit your actual day-to-day life and create lasting habits, because I know that's ultimately what you want. You want to have the consistency where you're eating healthy, you're doing things day to day that make you feel good, and you're actually keeping up with it instead of feeling like you have to get back on track again. So if you have dieted, if you've done the back and forth or the roller coaster, and you're still not seeing the results you want, or you're still struggling trying to figure out what you should be doing, what is actually going to work for you, or you know that you have been through a lot, you have had a lot of stress in your life, and it's time for you to take care of yourself. Or most of all, if you're ready to just feel good about yourself, understand how to simplify your health and feel good for the long term, because ultimately you're not eating for today, you're eating for future you to look back and be like, I'm so proud of myself. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, right? Then I'm so glad you're listening, because you're who I've created Confident Eating Academy for. You are somebody that I want to help. Now, Confident Eating Academy enrollment opens tomorrow. If you're listening right now, there's a good chance you could go ahead and sign up right now if you really wanted to, though. I'll tell you that. But if you are curious and you want to get an inside look into what it'll be like whenever I am teaching inside, I'm hosting a free workshop tomorrow called How to Break the All or Nothing Food Cycle and Finally Stay Consistent. So that is happening July 30th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you can't make it live, I will send out a replay after. Of course, it's always best if you can make it live. You get more out of it. And if you register for that, you're also going to get a special offer for joining the academy. So that's only people who register for the workshop are getting this special insider offer. So if you are interested in that workshop and joining the academy, I would recommend that you visit nourishedrevival.com/specials and register for that. But otherwise, if you're interested in learning more about Confident Eating Academy, you can visit nourishedrevival.com/services to find everything you need to know there. As I said, enrollment officially opens tomorrow, July 30th, and will close on August 5th. However, I am only going to be taking 10 women because I want to keep this a supportive environment and I don't want to let too many people get inside where it's just too much to handle. This is going to be a small, tight-knit community. As I said, Confident Eating Academy is a 6 weeks guided program. And the best part is that it doesn't end after the 6 weeks. So again, I've taken the best of my one-on-one coaching and my collective membership. So after you finish the academy, you get to move into the special alumni community space because you don't just learn everything in 6 weeks and you're where you want to be. You're going to keep moving forward, and I want to keep supporting you on that path forward. So you get to move into the alumni community where I will still be a support that you can ask questions and celebrate wins with to always be moving forward. I love that phrase so much. If you listened to last week's podcast or you've seen it, you know healthy eating shouldn't feel so hard. And that's really what I want, is to help you make it easy, because I know how it feels when you complicate it. And then in turn, what it's like when you're on the other side and you just feel good about how you're eating and how you're supporting your body, how you're just feeling every day about yourself. So you don't need another diet or to cut out your favorite foods. You just need to have the right understanding of your own body's needs. And that is what Confident Eating Academy is here for. I will have those links in the description of this episode. So if you're interested, be sure to check those out, because whether you join the workshop or you join the academy, I would love to see you there. And if anything, I hope to at least continue supporting you on the podcast. Thanks for being here.